Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, and thank you for your patience and your application and interest in serving as a circuit court judge. As you know, my name is Travis Monaghan, I'm the chair. We have 7 commissioners here and 1 on Zoom. This is currently a civil circuit division vacancy in the land. It could end up being a civil, family, or criminal docket anywhere in our circuit. We have 19 applications. You can only certify 6. Why should you make that short list?
At this point, my career path, I think my demeanor, my temperament, the relationships that I've been able to not only build here in Volusia County, Flagler County, Putnam County, and been able to foster, honestly, to be candid. Those qualities that I have coincide with the qualities that make a great judge. Not just a judge, a great judge. Someone that when you enter and leave their courtroom, you feel respected and you feel heard. I think those are some of the very minimum requirements of someone who's going to be the ultimate arbiter of the law. And to be candid, my age and experience, the quality of the things that I've done in the roughly a decade that I've been a bar licensed attorney, I can provide as a candidate longevity to the bench that the governor so seeks, and being able to build strength on the bench that he's demonstrated through the other candidates that's been appointed. That's clearly a desire that's important to him.
As an applicant for judge, you must know the Florida Code of Judicial Conduct, so let me ask you, how many times do you think you've read those canons, 1 through 7?
More than once, but I can tell you that those canons, if you replace the word judicial with prosecutorial, they're very similar to the canons that I abide by as an oath as a prosecutor in the 7th Judicial Circuit every day. The integrity, the impropriety, the appearance of non-bias, the ability to help and promote justice, and a second set from those canons is one thing that I personally pride myself on, and that's the ability to promote the legal field throughout the community.
As an applicant, again, for judicial office, you have to know the canons. So right now, as an applicant, how many of the 7 canons apply to you, in your opinion?
I would say most. I would say probably removing the 2 that actually apply to the actual the way that you run a courtroom. Even though I say as a prosecutor, I do have a responsibility to uphold those canons within the courtroom as under my oath as a prosecutor. But I would say all of them. I strictly believe, I go to investitures of judges that are being appointed or elected, and those canons are drilled into us. I'm reminded of them at these events. I'm reminded of them as a prosecutor, and it's important. So I think that I could say in some way, shape, or form, all 7, if not definitely 5, I'm held to every day as a standard as a prosecutor in the state of Florida.
Okay. If you're to be certified and ultimately picked, what do you think is going to be the biggest challenge for you on day 1 as a new judge?
I think just a simple transition. I've been in circuit court as an actual trial attorney. And what I mean by that is I'm not sitting on trials. I'm not reviewing transcripts. I am in the arena. I'm first chair. I've tried everything from, as Judge Clayton would say, everything from a repeat misdemeanor all the way up to a first-degree murder solo. So I think the ability to then separate myself and personally from my cases and actually know that I have to do other things now. I have to maintain order in the courtroom. I have to create an atmosphere of respect where people understand that it's demanded. But then also, going back to my original point, I have to ensure that each person that comes before me feels heard and that I, above everything else, am following the law.
We have 7 prosecutors who have applied for this vacancy. Only 6 people can be certified. What is it in your personal professional experience that distinguishes you from the rest of that group?
Well, first of all, let me say that I've worked with each and every one of those prosecutors at length. When I was either in Bunnell as a CLI trying cases before I was bar certified, or when I was in DeLand working as a prosecutor in front of Jim Clayton, or when I was here in Daytona out of our headquarters. And you guys have a hard job ahead of you. But to be, since you asked the question, I think the thing that separates me from those that I know, and I know each one of them personally, is that I not only have the trial experience and the ability to be in a courtroom the exact same way they do, but I have the community involvement. I've been a dedicated member to multiple groups in our community, whether it be a legal group or a philanthropic group that is, I'm a proud Rotarian. And just knowing those individuals, I think that that's what separates me at this point.
In your work history, you noted 3 months in private practice as an attorney. Why'd you return to the state attorney's office so quickly?
I went into civil practice at Smith Bigman Brock. I received a job offer, which I still to this day think is an honor. Jeff Bigman is one of the most respected professional people that I've ever had the opportunity to work for. And I felt that I needed that. I went to the state attorney's office to gain trial experience like everybody else. I had a passion for law enforcement, and I think my ability to actually carry out the law in a legal manner kind of suited me best instead of being a law enforcement officer. And I decided to try out civil practice to diversify myself after I'd gotten trial experience. While there at the firm, I got to go through a trial with Mr. Bigman. And to be honest with you, I was essentially told that, there were lawyers that had been at that firm for years that had never got to try a case. And if there's anything I can say about myself, I recognize that I'm meant to be in a courtroom. It's where my heart's at. I will say, I think there's a difference in being a litigator or a practitioner in civil court versus being a judge in civil court, though. Because I'm sure you would have a follow-up question. Well, if your heart wasn't in it, then how are you going to handle being on a civil bench? And I think it's completely different. In representing someone in a civil capacity as a practitioner, you have control of one side, and you're an advocate, so you are affecting someone. But being a judge on a civil bench here in the Seventh Circuit, you have the distinct ability and honor to affect every single party in the courtroom, not just one side. And whoever wins or loses that day, they should both be able to walk out and feel like they were heard.
As a prosecutor, you have the ultimate authority in charging decisions and resolutions. What factors do you consider when making a fair resolution in a case?
That's a very good question, because I think that it's important to elaborate on. 60% of my practice as a prosecutor is me in court prosecuting as hard as I can for the victim, right, for the state of Florida. Not just the victim interest, but the community as a whole. However, the 40% that goes on behind the scenes, you don't really see. I am in a very unique position at the state attorney's office. I am in our career criminal unit. I've tried every case, like I said. I've tried drug unit cases, I've tried county court cases, but I've been in the career criminal unit for going on 5 years. That means I've been intaking my own cases. If I am in a trial, I would say there's an 85% chance that my name is on that charging information docket. And it may not seem like a lot, but when you think about it, the 40% of what I did to get there behind the scenes, I was acting as a defense attorney. I was acting as a judge. I was sorting out legal issues. I was investigating the case. I was determining whether or not legally I could go forward, but at the end of the day, should I go forward? Because if a prosecutor is doing their due diligence and doing what they need to do, and they're prosecuting a case for the right reason, and then they lose, the community loses. So I understand that I don't have your, I would say the traditional defense background. However, as a prosecutor, I have been practicing those same techniques in taking cases for 5 straight years.
You listed in question 38 an award, trial Top Gun 2023. What are the requirements for that?
They vary, but my understanding is 8 trials, first-year trials, with a 90% or above conviction rate. I had more than 8, and I had a 100% conviction rate. And I don't say that to be bragging. I say that because I think the fact that I have tried so many cases in a short period of time and still have such a good relationship with the defense bar speaks to my integrity, it speaks to my character, and it speaks to my reputation. 80% of my job is telling people no. I am constantly in trial. But I do it in a manner where people are heard and they also understand the rationale of how I'm getting to where I go.
On your Form 6 financial disclosure, you listed a domain, sarah-thomas.com, valued at $5,000. How did you determine that amount?
Well, I tried to purchase it a couple of years ago when I first had the inclination to become a judge, because part of the thing that you have to consider, as anybody who would be serious about it is electability. And then when I didn't purchase it and thought, looked into it after I decided to formally go through the process, the price went up. So I just say, Sarah Thomas is a very common name, but these are all things that I'm a very type A person. I am a very prepared person. Any judge that you speak to, anything they have to say about me, I hope that one of the things they say is they feel I'm always prepared. So that was just my understanding that, you know, as a first-time candidate, if I'm appointed, I can be prepared to run an election.
What was the cost to obtain SarahThomas.com?
I think I put it on there. I think it was $5,000 or $6,000.
That was the cost?
Yes, that was the cost.
Okay.
This time. I was a little slow on my feet on that one, but, you know.
All right. Do we have any other questions from any commissioners? All right. Anything you want to highlight before we deliberate?
I'll leave you with this. I'm not going to go over my resume because each of you have my application, and I feel that you all are very well versed in this process and do your due diligence. But my entire life story has been people taking a bet on me and putting their confidence in me when some outside looking in who don't know me might think it would be premature due to my age or my experience. The quality of my experience in the rough decade that I've been an attorney speaks for itself. When I went to college, I didn't know a single person. I came from a one-stop-flight town. I went to college at the University of Louisville, and in my third year, I met and landed a coveted internship working for the President of the Senate in Kentucky, and that developed my relationship into a little bit of campaign work, some nonprofits, and then eventually landed me, as you've read in my application, an internship with the Kentucky State Police. Which was near and dear to my heart for the reasons I put in my application. And that developed and transpired into my love for the law. When I went to law school, I didn't know a single soul. I became the president of the Student Government Association and the honor board due to my professionalism and my ethics that the dean recognized. And as an appreciation for my work, my class eventually elected me as a speaker with a class of over 400 students. And then when I went to the state attorney's office, my bosses and my supervisors put their trust in me and moved me into one of our most serious units as one of the youngest attorneys in that unit. And each time someone has instilled their trust in me, I have proven them right. And they've never felt that I've let them down. And that's what I'm asking you to do. I feel that my philosophy for the bench is consistent with the philosophy of the governors. I feel that I would do everything in my power to secure that spot on the bench and do everyone here proud that you would put my name forward, and that's what I'm asking of you.
There's a number in the application. Somebody will reach out to you at the end of this.
All right, thank you so much for the opportunity.